Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Spiritual Gypsy. Today's pick a card reading is messages from the different parts of self. So your physical self, your body, your emotional self or your water element, your flow, that kind of thing. Your mental self or your thoughts, your brain, your air, however you want to see that, and finally your spiritual self or your higher self. So 4 different messages for each pile from the different parts of self or the different elements of self. Today we have the tarot deck. You're choosing your tarot deck based on the sun card because the sun in astrology represents the ego or the self. And since we're doing messages from the different parts of self, I wanted to start off with that. The first pile is the bladder, is the sun card with energy. It's a deck based on the different organs and parts of the body. And I have this smoky quartz tower with that pile. So that's pile number 1. Pile number 2 is this sun card. It's sunflowers. It's a deck that has a lot of symbols on the major arcana, and it's based on the 5 elements. And we have this kind of clear quartz looking tower. It's been a little bit it's got a bit of a tint to it. But it's not my pure clear quartz tower. I have that somewhere else. It's the one I felt drawn to because it's a little in the yellow. And then pick pile 3. The third pile is this sun card with the word happiness and this green fluorite tower. So take as much time as you need. I'm trying to adjust the screen. There we go. Take as much time as you need to pick your pile. Your intuition will always guide you if you want to pick more than one pile, anything like that, and we'll see you in your pile. Hello, pile 1. If you picked the sun card, that is the bladder with the word energy and this smoky quartz tower, then this is your pile. Today we are doing messages from the different parts of self. We are going to explore messages from the body or the physical self, the earth element, messages from our emotional self or our water element, motions from our mental self or our air element, and messages from our spiritual self or our spirit element. So we're going to do physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual messages from each 4. So for each oracle deck, I'm going to have it shuffled, pre-shuffled, and we'll do 1 oracle card per each reading, and we'll do the tarot cards per each part of the reading. So this is just the setup here where I'm going to shuffle everything and get it ready so that we can pull from the top. Here, these, as long as they're somewhat in frame, is fine because it's more important for you to see the cards once they're pulled. And I'm still learning how to film with my new setup, so I apologize in advance. It's a learning curve. So this tarot deck is based on the system of the body, the system and organs of the body. The major arcana are all organs of the body. So the first message we'll take a look at is from the physical self or the body itself. We'll do the oracle first and then we'll do the tarot. Go ahead and I pre-shuffled every deck already, but then I'm giving it another shuffle or 2 for each pile. Okay, so we'll put your oracle, your oracle. We'll put your tarot right here. So we have a blank canvas to get started. So your first oracle card, because the first messages from your physical self or your body, we have Mars in Aries with impulsiveness. I hope that you can see that. I apologize. I'm working with my lighting and hoping that you can see it. I think there might be such a thing as too much lighting. We'll figure it out. Okay. And then we have Cassandra with the number 25. It looks like, yeah, 25. And it's prophecy, visions, and disbelief. And then we have, the next card we have is grief in the heart chakra. This is a message from your physical self. That's the first message we're looking at here. We have the links with secrets in the number 2. Our final oracle card is Ocean with Harmony. Okay, let me do some readjusting so I can make room for the tarot cards. Okay, so the general gist I get is that perhaps the body is seeking for more harmony between it and your spiritual or your higher self. And I say this because grief in the heart space, when we worry about what others think of us, and anxiety about what others believe, it kind of lays on our heart, and that's our heart chakra is where we feel worries about others' opinions, and things like that. But this is grief. So this is almost as if carrying the loss of who we are or who we could be. But this is a call to harmony. And I say that we're looking for harmony here instead of that we are in harmony here because of the secrets card. And perhaps this prophecy. I'm going to wait until we get the tarot cards to get a little bit more detail. But there's almost like a disconnect here between the thoughts and the actions. Almost like the actions are compulsive or without thinking with this Aries card. And disconnected from what you want to do. But we'll get into that. So this first reading is from your physical self or your body. Okay. This card. This card. This card. And that card. Okay. And these are the tarot cards for that reading. We have the 6 of Metal with partnership. Looks like we have some lungs. And I believe an intestine of some sort in that card. We have the 3 of Earth with teamwork. It looks like kidney and stomach. 7 of Metal again. We have lungs and intestine. So you had a 6 of Metal and now you have a 7 of Metal. 9 of Earth is freedom. So the metal in this deck is equivalent to the swords. And then the earth is equivalent to the pentacles in a normal deck. So we have 9 of Earth with freedom. And we have the Ace of Wood with birth. So this is like the wands. Okay, so I feel as if the message from... Hold on, I'm going to zoom out so you can see a little bit better. There you go. I think you can see pretty much all of the cards now. So the message from the physical self pile number 1 is a call to action, a call to harmonizing your goals and balancing your emotions and your thoughts via some sort of action. And I say that because of this Ace of Wood here with birth. It's a birth of something, a beginning of something. Let's see here. So when this partnership, so your thoughts are calling for a partnership with your body, or your body is calling for a partnership with your thoughts, because this is a message from your physical self. So your physical self is calling for a partnership with your thoughts, to work together, to come to a solution to free you from some sort of cause of grief. This could be an impulsive behavior. It could be addiction. It could be just overeating. It could be procrastination. Whatever it is, something that could hinder your relationship with your physical body, or perhaps it could be overdoing it if you don't rest enough. Something along those lines, with the fact that it is talking about thoughts here, almost thinks that maybe you might overthink things instead of doing them. Maybe it's calling you to be more impulsive. Maybe this grief here is the fact that you want to do more and there's something stopping you. But we're going to ask the questions of that. But I'm just going over what the general thing is so far, and we'll dive deeper into this message. So the general message from your physical self pile 1 is a collaboration between your thoughts and your actions to strike a new beginning that's in a harmonious balance. But I want to ask questions to know more about what it is that your physical self is trying to convey to you, like what this grief is. So let's start with that. What is this grief that this partnership will help overcome? What is this grief? We have the liver with the hanged man, so some sort of like crossroads, indecision, inactivity. We have the 6 of fire, triumph, success, and the 5 of wood with pettiness. Okay, so for some of you, this is kind of like self-punishment. It's I would say kind of like a grudge against yourself. And when you're failing, a failure that's causing a grudge against yourself, and it kind of leaves you in this crossroads of dang if I do, dang if I don't kind of energy. The grief of what could have been is because I failed. Or I try and I fail, I try and I fail. And so you're in this cycle of self-punishment over a loss of success. It could be that. Another thing that it could be, because we're asking what this grief is, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. For some of you, it could be that it's the crossroad or the indecision that is causing you not to be successful. And this indecision that's keeping you from success is causing almost like a lack of trust between yourself. What I mean by that is if you promise your body that you're going to start drinking more water and then you don't, it's almost like the parts of yourself are like, well, you said this and I can't trust you. So the different parts of yourself is at a crossroads because of the inaction. Like maybe you promise something to yourself and then you don't deliver. It's the same as if we promise something to others and then we don't deliver. It kind of hurts the trust between us and the other person. So your physical self is saying that there's some sort of indecision or crossroads where you're not taking one path or the other, an inaction of some sort that is causing you to delay your success and is causing some sort of grudge or self-sabotage in your life in terms of your physical body's message. So your physical self is trying to say that this grief that it is having with you, or that you're having in terms of your physical body, is something that can be changed with this action, quick action. So it's asking you to be impulsive here in the sense of don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to try and fail and try and fail. You either try and succeed, and in doing so, you find out how strong and resilient you are and how capable, and success builds on success. But even failures are success because they teach us otherwise. Now, for some of you, it could be that there is like a limitation that you have. Perhaps this limitation, maybe this like hanged man, is a limitation you have with this pettiness. So you have sort of this, maybe it's a physical limitation, and so that's a source of grief for you, because you have this physical limitation, and so maybe you're not able to do the things you want to do necessarily. And so there's this cycle of, well, I can't do what I want to do, so I'm just going to do the exact opposite and extreme, and your body is feeling the outcome of that grief of, I'm limited. And instead your physical self is asking you, despite your limitations, to do action of some sort. Maybe it's just looking at the action in a different way. So let's ask what we can do to get this started. What this new action is that they're asking you for. Pile number 1, since it'll be so different for everyone, maybe this will help give some insight. If you're like, well, what can I do if I'm limited? Or what is this action? Okay, just the 2 cards. Okay. We have the bone marrow with the magician and alchemy, and the 4 of earth with greed. Alchemizing elements. So because we're using a physical deck, I want to talk about the fact alchemy on a real physical level. I'm going to do it in terms of the elements as colors of the light. So in the chakra system, right, you have the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Okay. And every chakra has a chakra that balances the other. So with the root chakra, it's balanced with the crown chakra. The sacral chakra is balanced with the third eye, and the solar plexus is, the sacral chakra is balanced with the throat, and the solar plexus is balanced with the third eye. And so each of them has a balance. And in terms of the spectrum of light, when you add, for example, red and violet or something, when you add the 2 colors of light, they make a different color of light. And that's where some of this metal and the wood comes from the colors that alchemize from the other colors. So what this is telling, why I'm saying this, is that your body is saying that you're able to tap into what you're able to do and alchemize it. You have what's necessary to alchemize your situation in a way that benefits you. Because bone marrow is like the essence of your bone. And like if you think about people who have the cancer of the bone, it's a very invasive procedure when people have to donate bone marrow, and there's a lot involved in order to be able to donate. And so it's like the very essence of who you are is able to alchemize the situation. You're able to take what you have and transform it into a circumstance that is suitable for you. And with greed, it's saying be greedy in the sense of, so you're holding on to something. So this is going to be taken as two ways, but I'm going to do it the first way and then I'm going to do it the second way. So it's almost saying be greedy with what you are able to do. So for example, if this is a physical limitation, we'll say for example you have a bad leg. Okay, so sit in a chair and do dance in your chair. Do chair yoga. So it's saying like be greedy of the movements you can do. If it's one of those things where you're physically able or physically kept back or held back, work on your eating, work on your water intake, challenge yourself and reward your successes of water of like, oh, I got this much water today, and now I can watch my favorite TV show in a binge or something like that. It's the first message of like this action for some of you is going to be being greedy of what you can do, and that's how you're going to alchemize the situation. For some of you, because this is the Four of Pentacles in a traditional deck, you're holding on to things, you're holding on to actions and thoughts and what you wish you could do. And if you could let go of the expectation of what you should be able to do and what you wish you could do, it would give your arms the ability to pick up what you can do. So for some of you, you know what you can do, and it's just about doing it in an amount instead of thinking about what you can't do. Now, for some of you, you're really holding on to this expectation about what you should be doing, what you can do, what your physical body needs from you to do. It's letting go of expectation and embracing a new beginning, a new thought process, embracing a different kind of thought process. All that to say, the physical self is asking that action, that beginning action for you is to change it from why I can't to why I can. So what that would look like, for example, is what if I fail? What if you succeed? So switching it like that. What if I can't walk? Well, or what if I can't walk very far? Let's do it that way, because there are people who can't walk and they're still very valuable and they have things that they can overcome. And there are many people who do basketball and things from a wheelchair. So, but what I'm saying, like, what if you can't walk very far? Well, then you walk as far as you can and you celebrate yourself for being able to do so. Or like I said, do it from a chair. Do chair yoga or dance in your chair. Any sort of movement is better than holding yourself in this self-sabotaging, self-punishment cycle for what you can't do. So your physical self is asking you to instead celebrate what you can do. That's this alchemization of embracing and celebrating what you can do. So that's kind of where the physical self is asking for a partnership with your mental self of transform that thought and embrace a new action. Whatever that action is for you. I know that was a lot. I'm so sorry. It's just this deck is inspiring those kind of explanations from me. Let me know if I went too in depth with the explanation there, pile number one. I'm just a very visual person myself. So visual explanations are something that very much helps me, especially because growing up neurodivergent and having friends and family that's neurodivergent, I know sometimes it's those very little explanations that are needed. But if I go too in depth, let me know if it's too in depth and not simple enough. So in simple terms, the physical self, pile 1, is just that. It's asking for transformation of your thoughts so that you can begin a new action. And so we'll close this part out, and then we'll look at the message from your emotional self. I'm going to put the tarot cards back here. Shuffle those back up. Messages from your emotional self, pile number 2. Your first oracle card is Mars in Pisces with escape. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything yet because I feel like we should have the full message before I say anything. We have Nemo sign, I'm not really good with that name. Mnemosine, something about like that. We have 29 or 11 or number 2 with memories, flashbacks, inspiration, the past revisited. Mnemosine, I think, something like that. Okay, we have impatience in the throat chakra. Oh boy. Okay. Pile number 1. What already from just the first message to the second message, are you too hard on yourself? There's almost this energy of self-punishment, really excessive in this pile. We have the Bull with number 10 or number 1 with sacrifice. And we have Pachama with reciprocity. Oh, look at that. That's a beautiful card. Alright, I hope you can see them all. Okay. The reason I say that about self-punishment is it's almost like you have intense emotions, perhaps a memory, a flashback, an inspiration, something comes up. And perhaps in the past it was something you usually escaped from. Negative emotions might have been something that you escaped from either in books, music, video games, to another world, to another place. And so now you have emotions and your thoughts are very impatient with you. Very much like, why are you still on this? It was in the past. Almost like you argue with yourself for having emotions. Or you argue with yourself of like, just do what you always done. Or almost this cycle of you have this emotion. Your thoughts get impatient with you. Perhaps because growing up, being overly emotional was what was considered wrong. And so you buried them down and you escaped. So because it was easier than showing that you had them. There's this stubbornness with this Bull here. Self-sacrificing stubbornness. But it's almost as your emotional self is almost simply saying that feeling the emotions is going to give you more than ignoring them. So whatever this negative voice is part of that escapism pattern. But we will get the tarot and then see what it says from there. Messages from pile 1's emotional self. Alright, well, first card you have is the 4 of Earth with greed. We have the 7 of Metal with resolution. Wow, okay. The Ace of Earth with payoff. And the kidneys with the tower upheaval. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to start over here with the kidneys. Your emotional self almost seems to be telling me that it's constantly at odds with your thoughts, perhaps. And that's why the thoughts are impatient with it. Or perhaps your emotional side is saying it's in being impatient with your thoughts or something of that nature. Your emotional self is saying the emotions that you have, that you need to feel and process, have a very high value in your life. Whatever these emotions are, they're kind of like held on to too tight. Here we have that Four of Pentacles card. In a traditional deck, he's holding on to his pentacles and not letting them go. There's something about not being able to let go of the emotions because of this escapism here, which we'll ask a deeper question in a moment to deep dive into the reading. But your emotional self is saying that there is a solution and a high value abundance through feeling the emotions. And you'll get something that you, by giving in and giving to your emotional self, you're going to get a high payoff, a high abundance. So I kind of first want to ask about what it is that you're escaping from, perhaps. So I want to ask first what you're escaping from. We'll ask what this emotion is, or the emotions that you're holding on to. Okay, let's see. What is pile number 1 escaping from emotional self? You have the Two of Water, ease. Okay. And the small intestines, the Star, hope. Okay, well. So the Two of Cups energy is giving me there's a dualistic nature to your emotions. Emotional self is saying not only are you avoiding, your escapism is giving you hope. You're experiencing hope through your escapism tendencies. But at the same time, there's a dualistic nature, because then you're not feeling the feelings, which might also give you some sort of reward. So that's not telling us what you're escaping, that's telling us why. Or, yeah, ease and hope. Let's see. Let's ask deeper. Is it the hope that they're escaping, or the hope, the reason they are escaping? Healing. Okay. Temperance. Balance. It's both. So the reason you're escaping is for hope, but it also creates hope. Because you can't see a negative or feel a negative if there's always hope of it being alternative. So, okay. Sorry about that. So pile number 1. You're escaping your emotions, and it gives you hope, but it's also taking away hope, because if you don't experience the negative emotions, you don't also experience the positive ones. So you're in this escapism, whether it be a fantasy, whether it be a video game, whether it be a song, and it's keeping you from experiencing the real things, because you don't just shut out the negative, you shut out the positive. And there's a balance needed of both. You need the balance of both positive and negative. Okay, and then so we asked what you were escaping. So you were escaping both of that. Escaping the lack of hope and to gain hope. I want to ask what it is you're holding on to. What is pile 1 holding on to that they need to let go? Emotionally. Okay. You have the ear, which is the lovers, and the magician with alchemy. This isn't either. Okay. So there's almost this energy of what's being held on to is a choice. Because the Lover's card is traditionally a card of choice. So holding on to the choice of I'm almost seeing like what is being experienced, or because the magician uses the elements to alchemize the situation. So perhaps you're holding on to this choice of how you handle the situation. So you're holding on to this coping mechanism. So that is what's being held on to. So it didn't specify what emotion, so it's probably because it's different for every person. Let's see if your emotional self, pile 1, will tell us what this abundance is from feeling these feelings instead of escaping them. What is pile number 1's abundance if they feel the feels? Wow, that card wanted to just jump right out. So it's probably valuable. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have the gallbladder with the devil. That is enslavement. The devil is realizing that your chains are actually not connected and that you can release them at any time. And we have the spleen with temperance and healing. Okay, so healing your entanglements, healing what makes you feel trapped. Feeling the feelings will give you some sort of abundance and value, and releasing what makes you feel stuck, what makes you feel trapped, what makes you feel tied to a certain way of being, and it heals. So it almost feels like it's going to break the chains and cause some balance in your life. So your emotional self is saying, pile number 1, that there are some emotions and coping skills that you're holding on to. Escapism, and there's almost this battle between your thoughts and your emotions that constantly happens, which causes this escapism perhaps. And it's a stubbornness of sacrificing your emotions to silence the thoughts or to make the thoughts easier, and your emotional self is asking you to feel the feelings and let them go, because what you give to your emotional self, you're going to get back in feeling untrapped and being able to overcome and break chains and break cycles and heal. And that is the message from your emotional self, pile number 1. And then let's get into your next message once I clean up here of messages from your mental self. Sorry, I hit the camera again. Okay. So the next set of messages is from the mental self. Your first oracle card is the moon in Aries with protection. And this is from the mental self. My camera moved. There we go. You have the Fates 49 or 13 with destiny, time, fate, and lifespan. You have the heart chakra with gossip. You have the swan with beauty, number 20 or 2. And you have Bodhisattva, I can't say that, Bodhisattva, awakening. It's like peace in Hinduism, I believe. Or the awakening of the spirit. Something of that nature. We will look at this one in the book to do it justice. So this is a message from the physical self. Not the physical self. The mental self. Goodness gracious me. Alright, pile number 1. This is a message from the mental self. We'll look at that oracle card first to do it justice of what it is saying. This is the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck. Nine. Okay, so this is this card. If you want to pause and read, feel free. It is awakening. The shadow is selfishness. May I be an isle for those who yearn for land, a lamp for those who long for light. Bodhisattva, I'm probably saying that wrong again, is a card of radical friendship, emanating carefully cultivated wisdom and compassion. She appears when your mind is ready to be apprenticed to your heart. A Bodhisattva is one who has attained Bodhikata or awakened mind, yet chooses to delay nirvana, the blissful liberation from repeated rebirth, in order to help others become enlightened, thereby transcending the cycle of their suffering, with aspirations and actions that are for the benefit of all sentient beings. She devotes herself, She devotes herself to ensuring that no one is left behind. On the path to awakening, can serve a faithful friend and transcendent teacher, offering you the keys to paradise wrapped in Tesua, the Tibetan word for your innately tender heart. If you are blessed with an elevated capacity to be selfless, you are well on your way to Buddhahood. But if you too are susceptible to human foibles, the path becomes a daily practice. The way of Bodhisattva is to nurture a boundless heart by practicing the 4 immeasurables: equanimity, loving kindness, compassion, and joy. Through equanimity, you stimulate warmth in your heart by recognizing your own basic Buddha nature, luminous essence, and learn to see it in all things. You radiate loving kindness throughout the world, upward, outward, and everywhere, particularly in the darkest corners. You practice compassion by wishing all beings to be free of suffering, and you foster unrestrained joy by being happy for the good fortune of others. Through these four sublime qualities, Bodhisattva teaches that as you awaken to care for others, your heart opens, and as you open your heart, you benefit others. This wheel of love loosens the knot of suffering. Tight boundaries between love and hate, good and bad, self and other dissolve, and the painful perception of separateness falls away. You cannot extinguish sorrow and strife, but you can burn with a love that awakens through its dedication to the well-being of others. It is said by the blessed ones that the whole of the holy is to be a good friend. Okay, so there is something that your thought or mental self is saying about serving others, protecting others, teaching others, helping others, seeing the beauty in others. But we will get your tarot cards before we get into it further. Those came out all at once. We have Two of Metal with boldness. The Eyes with it's the Chariot, success. Something about perception with the Eyes. Ace of Water with love. The small intestines with the Star and the with hope, and the Liver, which is the Hanged Man, with sacrifice. Okay. Major Arcana coming out in this pile, this section of pile 1, with messages from the mental self. Right off the bat, I'm getting the vibe that your mental self is wanting you to change your perception in order to succeed. Go above and beyond your perception of others and of yourself, and go step into seeing others through love, through hope, instead of through mistrust, and maybe sacrificing your perception or sacrificing your current beliefs. I also get the energy from this because of this awakening here, that in this gossip is almost calling you to a more neutral place with your thoughts. Maybe not one way or the other, in a more neutral place where you can gain perspective from both sides, almost like this bird's eye view perspective. So I want to ask, as far as this pile, part of your pile, messages from the mental self, what is the first action that you can take, or what it is that you can do to get to this point? Because your mental self is asking for change in your perception, being courageous, being full of love, being hopeful. So I think I would like to ask for you more specific first step to make this a bit easier. What is the first step of this action? Woo. Okay. We have the thyroid gland with the Hierophant and community. So getting out and meeting people. Or it could be connecting with the different parts of yourself in this. But as seeing as it wants you to change your perspective, it could be getting out in your community. There's a teamwork with 3 of Earth. The large intestine with the Moon, fear, facing fears. We have the 10 of Water with happiness. The 8 of Water with movement. And the Diaphragm with the Wheel of Fortune. breathing. Okay. Whoop! I am moving the camera again. I am so sorry. There we go. Okay. So, this message from your mental self on the action to get to that place of a different perception, one that ruminates with love and hope, is asking you to get out and to meet people, to be do activities that you enjoy, work with other people, face some fears of rejection, fears of being embarrassed when you go out, fears of what other people might think, things like that, and follow your bliss, follow what makes you happy. So do activities that makes you happy. So if you're a video game person, go to, I don't know, a group that meets and discusses video games or something like that. So this is like finding a community that follows or enjoys the same things that you enjoy, and you'll experience movement in terms of this perception and expanding your bird's eye view through interacting with others, and over time you'll experience a change. Also, this change of perception and these change of thoughts and these changing and connections and moving through fear is going to change fate or change the way that your thoughts interact with you also. So your mental self is saying, pile number 1, to connect with others so that you can get more perspectives, learn other perspectives, other ways of thinking, other ways of doing. Also, with this gossip, I almost feel like it's getting alternative perceptions and thoughts of yourself, because it's almost like part of you is trying to protect yourself from actions, because the moon card is the subconscious. Moon is subconscious, but Aries is impulsive and is the first sign in the zodiac. So there's almost like your ego is trying to protect its own perception of you, or protect your perception of who you are, and who you are and what you think of yourself will change and develop also. So for some of you, this is developing self-love and the courageous and self-confidence, and seeing yourself as successful, seeing yourself as love and as a form of hope, and not sacrificing yourself. So for some of you, this is by reaching out and going to be a part of your community. Not only will your perception change and your thoughts change of others, it helps change your thoughts of you also. So that's the message from the mental self. Pile number 1, we will do your message from your spiritual self next. The mental self was a little bit more clearer of its message than the previous 2. So the last message we have, pile number 1, is from the spiritual self. We have the moon in Sagittarius with optimism. Stay in the frame, thank you. Okay. We have Medea with 24 or 6 with betrayal, infidelity, vengeance. Okay. We have the heart chakra with perception. You have had a heart card in almost all of the sections, pile number 1. So there might be an overall message from the parts of yourself to connect with one another through the heart chakra. And in chakras and energies, the heart chakra is where all the energies meet. So perhaps it's saying going in through your heart or through love to process the messages from each part of yourself, or to connect with each part of yourself so that you can get messages from them. We have polar bear with ancestors, and lotus with resilience. So the first message the first thing that stands out about this message from your spiritual self is that you're being guided. You have spiritual connections, your ancestors are with you, that you are capable. Your heart is very perceptive of this connection, and that your spiritual self is very optimistic and open to discovery. The thing about lotuses is they help clear mud. So there's something about, if there's mud in other areas of your life, that your spiritual self can help clear that. So perhaps your spiritual self is saying, if you lean into your spiritual self, it might help clear up some of the other areas. But let's see. Let's get the tarot here. Messages from pile number 1, spiritual self. A lot of cards. We have the 8 of metal with home. Okay, let's see. Alright, sorry, I keep moving this dang thing. Okay. I'm trying to get this down here. Okay, here we go. So we have the 8 of metal with home. We have the stomach with justice. We have the 7 of wood with liberation. The teeth with strength and resilience. That's the strength card. So we have the justice card, the strength card in this deck. You have the magician with alchemy. And the 4 of water with stagnation. Okay, so your spiritual self, I'm going to try to just squeeze this in here. The message from your spiritual self is about emotional blockage. There's an emotional blockage that it wants you to look at. Perhaps it's a spiritual one too, because water can simulate emotion or spiritual. So either an emotional or spiritual or both blockage is significant. And it wants you to address this. Hold on. This energy is very fast. So your spirit guides or your ancestors may be communicating with you quickly, and maybe it's hard for you to understand their messages. That might be the first thing. Secondly, there's something here about freedom with this fairness. I want to see this fairness as balance, because the justice card, the traditional justice card, has the scale. So there's some sort of balance needed between your thoughts about what home is and what makes you feel safe. What makes you feel safe, so your comfort and freedom from comfort via strength, and alchemizing this blockage in either the emotional or the spiritual self. Considering this is a message from the spiritual self, I'm going to say that this blockage is the spiritual self. Now, it would be different from each person, because I felt drawn to saying emotional. Maybe it's connected to the emotional self. So we will ask what this block is. so that it can help pile 1, because it'll be different for everyone, but maybe we can help get some insight about what this block is for you. Okay, we have the veins with the Empress, contentment. The spleen with temperance, with healing. And the 8 of Earth with craft. This blockage has to do with the feelings of comfort. It's wanting you to nurture and to support yourself. Right now, it's this stagnation or this block is in an area where you're choosing comfort over growth. And it's going to require nurturing yourself. And there's a balance here. A balance between what's comfortable and healing through nurturing and supporting yourself. And it's something that is going to take some hard work, because the 8 of Pentacles is a card of hard work, mastering a skill. So for some of you, this is going to be hard work of getting out of your comfort zone to heal that blockage. For some of you, this is going to be nurturing and supporting your courage and your strength and your skills in overcoming. I see this as, how to explain what I'm seeing. This blockage is in terms of how you see yourself, or your courage, or your self-esteem. In the sense that because this is spiritual. So how you see yourself, your spirit. Okay. Sorry, it took a minute. Piecing it together now. It's hard because I'm seeing it as one way and then trying to explain it. So this message from your spiritual self about this block is about how you see yourself and needing to nurture and heal how you see yourself. And that's going to take some hard work, because over time you've heard or been told that you are certain things. Growing up, we're told we're this, or we're that, or we could be this, or all the negative voices in our head. There's where that betrayal comes in. All the negative voices in our head that we hear of who we can and can't be, and why we can't be that way, or the judgment of others, leads to a fractured or mirrored version of seeing how we see ourselves. And your spiritual self wants you to heal that and be able to see yourself as this precious person that you are. So it's alchemizing via your strength, freeing yourself from those expectations of who you should be. And that is the message from your spiritual self, pile number 1. And that was your pile. I know it was a bit lengthy, and then some of it was a bit choppy. I apologize. I'm trying to do different explanations and more in-depth explanations. So let me know how I did, pile number 1. Leave me a comment, or a dislike, and a constructive comment, either way. And thank you for joining me. Hello, and welcome back. Pile number 2. If you have chosen this Sun card for this deck and this yellow tinted clear quartz, point, then this is your pile. Today's reading, we're doing 4 parts, messages from our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. Bear with me here. I have the oracle cards. We'll pull an oracle and tarot for each part of self that we're getting a reading from. Bear with me here. I'm still learning my new setup, and we will get started here. So we're doing the message from the physical self first. Your first oracle card is Jupiter in Sagittarius with Principle. There's a bird with stars in that card. Okay. Bear with me here. I am having a bit of a lighting issue today. I love natural lighting, but sometimes it's iffy on whether or not it's going to help or hinder. We have the throat chakra with Vanity. We have Perseus with 39, 12, or 3. Victory, Adventure, Cunning, Reward. There we go. I think that's better. You can kind of see it all here. Alright, and then we have Tarantula with Connection. It's number 13 or 4. And finally, we have Curandria with Healing. I'm probably saying that wrong, but okay. Alright, and this is messages from the physical self. Initially, just from the oracle card, there's something about healing routine or healing structures with yourself, because this is about being overly ambitious, and so perhaps you're so ambitious that your physical, you don't actually get to all the things you want to do physically, but that's just, and perhaps healing. Oh, okay, I got it. Light bulb. Okay, so your physical self is feeling as if you don't rest enough. And I say that because this is like the energy of an overzealous physical self. Over ambitious, overly connected, vain. Principle is structure and routine, and there's this healing here. So I'm getting this energy of like you feel pile number 2 as if your value is linked with what you do, and your physical self feels that weight of, wow, my value. I have to perform in order for value to be felt. But that's just the initial energies from just the oracle. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong as we go here. Get your tarot cards here. One more. I see this one. Okay. We'll ask questions with the tarot if we need to. Let me back this up a bit so you can see. Okay. Okay, let's see what our tarot cards are. We have the Seeker of Feathers, which in this deck is like the Page or Knight of Swords, I believe. 4 of Fire with Inner Light. The 10 of Shells with Unconditional Love. The 2 of Feathers with Truth. And the 4 of Lotus with Crystallization. So this deck has the 5 elements: earth, water, wind, air. Earth, water, air, fire, and spirit. So the Lotus of this deck is the ether element. Okay, so your physical self has a message for you, pile number 2. It's seeking to connect with you. So perhaps you overly exert yourself physically to avoid thoughts. Okay, there's two ways that this message could be seen. One is, because it's not the same for all of you, so I'm seeing it in two ways, which is what's causing my back and forth here. So I am just going to say it in the two ways. The first way is someone who overexerts themselves physically. They overdo it. They feel like their value is in how much they can get done, and they need to heal that part of themselves. And in that case, your physical self is wanting to connect with a higher bird's eye view and perspective of thinking to preserve your light or preserve your energy from burnout by giving yourself unconditional love and rest. There's this dualistic nature of getting out of the dualistic nature of I'm either of value if I'm doing something, if I'm not doing something, I'm of no value, and finding a middle ground and seeing your value in just being, just existing. That's for some of you. There is an aspect here of the opposite of embracing your ambition, embracing physical connection, connecting with your physical self, healing the connection with your physical self will also heal your connection with higher ways of thinking. It will heal your energy, and having energy, it will give you more love for yourself. It'll help break through dualistic thinking, and it will help give you courage. So it depends on how this message resonates. Pile number 2, it depends who's listening and who just needed it. But it depends on which one you are as to what that message is. Now, either way, this message is about healing the physical self, either how you perceive your physical self and its value, or your connection with your physical self. And so this is the message I see from the physical self. We will shuffle and get the message from our emotional self next. Okay, so now we're going to do messages from the emotional self. Your physical self had a very straightforward message. We have fulfillment with Capricorn and Sagittarius. I'm going to try to make it so you can see that the best that I can. Okay, we have the root chakra with complacency. We have Pandora's box with number 15 or 6 with revelation, chaos, sorrow, and hope. Pandora's box. Alright, wow. Armadillo with groundedness, number 7. And finally, in the message from your emotional self, the last oracle card is Raven with magic. Okay. So I already am sensing some sort of like having a practical but adventurous outlook in terms of your emotions. Your emotions is asking you to open this Pandora's box here. It seems like perhaps your emotions are shut. there's almost this energy of, even though it's shut, right? Your emotions are shut, but almost like drowning in your shut emotions. So even though they're shut within you, you are internally drowning. And I say this because this groundedness, I'm almost seeing like, or sensing that there needs to be a more grounded connection with your emotions. Because right now, there's complacency in how you connect, but there could be fulfillment. And I say that because Capricorn is practical. It's the practical application of things. And it's an earth element, so there's groundedness. And Sagittarius is adventurous, it's understanding, so a practical understanding that leads to fulfillment. And that fulfillment, with Raven and Magic, it's transformative. So something about these emotions that are in this box, that have you feeling complacent, once you experience them and transform them, and become more grounded in the connection that they bring to you, you're going to have some sort of fulfillment. But let's get the tarot cards so that we can get a better picture of this. So we have the Star card right off the bat. And your message from your emotional self, pile number 2. Let's see these ones. Okay, we have the Star card, the Lovers card, the One of Shells, and the Six of Shells. Abundance and nurturing. Okay. So, your Star card, your uniqueness, what you have to offer, your spirit, your soul, your authenticity. You have a choice. So this card, I think, is perfect for just this. So if you look here, they're holding the star and it's flowing. The water's flowing here, and the water's flowing in, the pressure's creating the pearl. Pearl is what's created from pressure. So what makes you you, and what makes you this star, is in the emotions that you're needing to fill, the emotions that you stored for so long, are part of what is your abundance and your authenticity. And if you choose to embrace and feel your feelings and learn what they have to teach you and nurture them and nurture these emotions, they're going to be a source of great abundance for you, of connection, of connecting with others, of grounding in your humanity, grounding in anchoring in who you are. But it's a choice. It's a choice of whether or not you want to feel them. Choosing yourself in this instance, or are you going to choose yourself? So there's this instance of maybe you've had to put your emotions in this box to make others happy or fulfilled. Perhaps others were not happy when you showed your emotions. Perhaps others made you feel like, because Pandora's box is about releasing things into the unknown and causing chaos, but also hope. It makes me think of when you get hurt, how you hide your true self so that you can't get hurt again. So there's this energy in this message from your emotional self of what you have to offer is so precious, and choosing yourself. And not be complacent with feeling this hurt or hiding away who you are, nurturing this part of yourself. So I want to ask what this abundance is, or an idea of what this abundance could be that you'll have after you transform your emotions and feel them. Okay, so we have realization. We have the Four of Stones with beyond. Kind of. There we go. The Empress card. The Initiate of Lotus. The Hermit. And the Two of Stones. Wow. So much energy here. Okay. This is a very big source of abundance that you're going to receive from opening yourself up, feeling your feelings, healing from these feelings, transforming them, and grounding yourself in what they teach you. So you'll have this kind of, awakening through experiencing this emotions. You'll have this realization that there was nothing wrong with you, and it was the act of hurting you that was wrong. That you should have never been hindered. And it's going to take you beyond that current perspective, beyond your current reality, beyond that hurt. And once you start nurturing and supporting yourself, it's going to radiate out of you. You're going to be a source of nurture and support from others. And there's this energy of this abundance is going to be, you're going to be nurturing and giving and receiving. Because the Empress is about attracting to you what is yours. So when you give to yourself this nurture, this support, and you feel the feelings that your emotional self is wanting to feel, and you transform them, you'll go beyond, and you'll start receiving and attracting to you what's meant to be yours. And you'll have this connection with spirit. So this is a spiritual path here that they've stepped onto. And once you step onto that path and you start attracting what's yours, more of that path will be clear to you. You'll have some self-reflection that's needed to be done as you go through here. But that self-reflection is going to lead to a choice of what you see as abundant to you. So, long story short there, your emotional self, this abundance that you're going to get from feeling your feelings and transforming them, and transformation basically just means once you feel them and they're no longer taking up space, and you feel them in real time moving forward. So you deal with all the emotions you've been holding in, and you feel them as in the present moment when you experience them. You'll have this abundance, which is a realization of your value and perspectives beyond what you thought was the truth, or what you thought was true when you had all that emotions within you. And it's going to end up being where you're attracting your manifestations and the things that will cause happiness to you. And it'll help you with getting to know who you are and going within and being able to connect with yourself more. So The emotional self is saying pile number 2, that the abundance you will receive is getting from yourself what you give to yourself, in a nutshell. So when you give yourself this nurturing and support, you're going to get more nurturing and support. And that's what I see for the message from your emotional self, pile number 2. Let me shuffle, and then we will get into messages from your mental self. Pardon me here. Okay, the first oracle card for the messages from the mental self is Jupiter in Aries with enterprise. There's symbols on the palm there. We have the heart chakra with growth. We have Pygmalion with 22 or 4, idealism, romanticism, infatuation. Okay. We have honeybee with reciprocity with number 6. The last oracle card is turtle with grounding. Okay, and this is a message from the mental self. I'm going to wait till I get the tarot here. I have a little bit of an idea of what the oracle is telling me, but I would like to have the full picture before I say anything in this message from the mental self. We have the Elementer of shells. The universe. One of feathers with divine mind. The 3 of shells with celebration. Elementer of stones. Okay, your mental self's message to you, pile number 2, is that listening to your emotions or to spirit, or connecting with your emotions or spirit, and maintaining higher consciousness ways of thinking and remaining grounded. So your mental self would like you to ground in your connection, to ground your thoughts, to stay connected. Grounding is kind of not overthinking, connecting with the present, connecting with your body, listening to what your body tells you, and your emotions. There's the Elementer and the Elementer. So these are the kings. So your mental self is saying that your connection with your physical self and your spiritual or emotional self, however it resonates, is your connection to the divine consciousness or to the universe or to source. And there's this link here. Some of you might be a vessel. Some of you might communicate well with your spiritual self, with your higher self. So there's this aspect here of continuing to maintain groundedness and connection with spirit or your emotions. Now, the last message was just about from our emotional self, so emotions that weren't felt. So perhaps this is saying the mental self is giving you more of a picture, pile number 2, or for some of you, perhaps this is spiritually. But there's something about there is luck and fuel and growth that can happen in terms of your mental self, or perhaps your connection to consciousness and the way that you think with this bird's eye view is a way to master your emotions and connecting with your body. Because of this luck in Aries with Enterprise, your connection to your higher way of thinking may be the way to connect with your emotions and your body. And then it'll be a celebration of all 3 being connected. So I kind of want to ask about this connection to help specify what that could be. For some of you, what is this divine mind connection that will help here with these other aspects of self? Organizing. There's the Magician, the 7 of Feathers, and the 10 of Feathers. Yes, so you connect with spirit or your higher self, higher ways of thinking. This 10 of Feathers is like a very heavy amount of that energy. And with this, it makes me think of like the sun codes or downloads, and you have the spiral here, and you're at the end of the spiral, so you're getting out of the spiral. So perhaps your way of thinking is you're connected with your higher self in the higher way of thinking, and so that will help create balance and alchemize the other elements of yourself. So your message from your mental self is to utilize the way that you think and the way that you connect with the higher way of thinking to master your emotions and or spirit, and you're connecting with your body. So connecting with your body and connecting with your emotions. And then we will clean this up and we will do, last but not least, the message from your spiritual self. Pile number 2, the message from your spiritual self. We have Venus with Aries with lust. Let me cover that up a little bit there. Okay, there we go. Venus with Aries and lust, and this is the spiritual self. Okay, I gotta remind myself it's the spiritual self, so things are a little bit different. We have creation in the crown chakra. We have Aphrodite, number 6, love, passion, desire, romance. There is something synchronistic about desire in this pile. We have deer with power. You're very spiritually connected, pile number 2. Whale and memory. You have your spiritual ancestry is very ancient, and you connect spiritually very strongly here. There's a very strong manifestation energy from your spiritual self, but we will get the tarot cards and get more on that. but it seems as if you are very strongly connected with your spiritual self and the desires of your spirit. Messages from pile. Choose spiritual self. Okay, let's see what we got. We have 1 of fire with creativity. 4 of fire with inner light. 1 of lotus with expansion. 5 of fire with transformation, and elementer of lotus. So yes, very connected with spirit in this pile. This would be the king of the ether element. This deck has the 5 elements, as we've talked about already. Your spiritual self is asking you to express your creativity and your authenticity and your beauty and your spirit, your connection with spirit, how you connect with spirit. Pardon me. Your spiritual self is asking you to express your spiritual self, to create the life that you're wanting via expressing your spirituality, expressing who you are spiritually, transforming your life through your connection with spirit, to take your life beyond what you see right now to another place. So I almost see this as your spiritual self saying that your manifestations can become a reality through your connection and your strengths and gifts and abilities with your connection to spirit. And it wants you to start living your spirit-given life, or the life that spirit is calling for you to give of yourself, and expressing your spirituality, expressing your gifts that you have to transform your life into a different reality. Whatever that means for you personally, it'll be different for each person, but there's something about a desire here, a desire or that you have for your life, or that spirit has for your life, is a life full of creativity and love and connection with spirit. Spiritual connection is a source of power for you, pile number 2. So it's a very powerful message of your spirit is guiding you, and you're very connected to your spiritual self, and it's asking you to listen to it, to do the action that it's asking of you, to transform your life for the better. There's 1, 4. There's a 5 there. That's actually 6. 1, 4, 1, 6. So there's heavy energy of repeating numbers. So spirit is heavily trying to talk to you. So if this isn't a message you've already received from spirit about a change you should make in your life to live more spirit conscious or more in tune with your spirit, it is saying the message is coming. It's going to be repeating. It might be a song that gets in your head. Listen to the song. It might be certain words that get stuck in your head. Write them down, and something will resonate for you. So there's something about this connection with spirit and what you're wanting to create with your life and transforming from this connection. And that is what I see as the message from your spiritual self, pile number 2. Let me know, pile number 2, how I did. Positive or negative constructive criticism in the comments. And I will see you next time. Hello, pile number 3. If you picked this sun card with the green fluorite point, then this is your pile. Today's reading, we are doing messages from different parts of self: the physical self, the mental self, the emotional self, and the spiritual self. Bear with me here. The messages today are heavy and they're hard to translate so far. So the wording has been a bit all over the place. So bear with me here. We will do 4 different parts. So I'll draw an oracle card and tarot for each part of the reading. And I'm shuffling your tarot and then we will get started here. There is a ladybug near my window. So if that might be relevant for someone, for pile number 3, as a symbol that you're in the right pile. So the first oracle card for messages from the physical self for pile 3 is Saturn in Capricorn with riches, number 10. Boy, I misspoke today. Okay, we have sacral chakra with impasse. There we go. We have siren song 33 or 6 with flattery, enticement, seduction, or a false face. We have sea otter with transformation. And finally, traveler with faith. That's the oracle cards. Let's get your tarot, and then we'll see what your message from your physical self is. Okay. Alright, so we have the High Priestess, 3 Pentacles, sorry, I'm moving the camera a little bit, not trying to, but we have the Justice card. I want you to be able to see it all, so we'll kind of squeeze it in here. The 2 of Swords with difficulties, the 9 of Wands with determination, and the Ace of Wands with new adventures. Okay, this is a message from the physical self, pile number 3. Your physical self seems to be saying that your emotions are something that kind of hinders or gets in the way of you connecting with your physical self. And it's asking you to empower yourself and recognize the value in connecting with your physical self, to have balance here, to see past the duality of it's either I feel this way or I do this. Cannot be both. Can't be, oh, I feel bad so I can't do this, or I hurt so I can't do this. So there's a middle ground. There's a dualistic nature between how you feel and what you physically would like to do, or what your physical body is asking of you. An example of this would be, I feel afraid of hurting my injury more. And then, so because of this, I don't connect with my physical body. The alternative to that is I connect with my physical body, I move and I do what I want to do for my physical body, and I hurt my injury more. There's a middle ground there where you can do physical movement without hurting your injury. So for example, if you have a knee injury, perhaps there are physical movements you can do in your chair, like chair yoga, or dancing in your chair, or something like that. There's this, like, there should be a middle ground. It's not either or. It's not A or B. Find something in the terms of C, a balance. Your physical body is asking not for you to not listen to your emotions or the other parts of yourself that ask for your care. It's asking for a balance between the two, and that there is wealth in connecting with your body. That there is an abundance to be found by recognizing and listening to what your body has to say. Now, it is also asking you to be committed to an action, and that you are at the end of a cycle in terms of a certain type of action. Perhaps this is inaction for some of you. For some of you, it is action that is asking you to kind of step away from and address your emotions. For some of you, you are physically avoiding your emotions by doing physical activity. It's the opposite. For some of you, it's you're avoiding the physical action and connecting with your physical body because of emotions. So however this is, you're at the end of this cycle, and it's time to start a new cycle, to be open to new possibilities of connecting with your body, of connecting with your emotions. It's almost like, because of the emotional aspect and the physical aspect here, with that dualisticness to it, that your physical body is asking you, pile number 3, to let go of the expectation of how you have to connect to your body. It doesn't have to be the same way everyone else connects to your body. For example, if you have to do chair exercises, or if you have to meditate laying down, or in a chair, or different things, it's saying to release the expectations of how you have to connect and look through the lens of what you're able to do and find new possibilities of connecting with your body. Perhaps it's as simple as, what is my body trying to tell me? Like when you have a pain, what is this pain telling me? Okay, where is it? What could it have sourced from? What are ways that I can leave this pain through movement, through a change in my lifestyle? So it's asking you to look at ways that you can connect with your body, and knowing that connecting with your body can be an adventure and can lead to an abundance and empowering parts of yourself. So this is the message that I see, pile 3, from your physical self. We will clear this up, and then we will look at your message from your emotional self, from what we were seeing in this physical self. I'm wondering if emotions or your physical body will come up in the alternative. Interesting thought. Okay. Let's do one more shuffle of your tarot, and then we'll pull the oracle for the messages from your emotional self. There is Mercury with influence in Aquarius. There is a snake there. We're going to put that there just in case, because of YouTube rules. Mercury with influence. We have the crown chakra with confusion. Andromeda with 47 or 11 or 2 with rescue frozen in action. Okay. Getting a message here. We have the red crowned crane with loyalty, 29, which breaks down to 11 or 2. You have 11 twice here. So 4 and 7 make 11, but so do 9 and 2. So 11 and breaks down to number 2 is very significant for some of you in this pile. With your message to your emotion. So she's taking on a dragon here. There's almost like a fairy tale vibe to this right now. Okay, and then we have mystic with devotion. Okay, so I would not be surprised if people in this pile are really strong in terms of connecting with their emotions. They could be a water sign, so Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. If you're not a water sign, that's fine. I'm just saying this is this emotional message, message from the emotional self has heavy, you're very connected to your emotions and not, and very influenced by your emotions. Your emotions are your guiding force in this pile. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. You could just be a very creative person. Creative people are very in touch with their emotions also. Any song, any movie, any book, they draw certain emotions, and that's why they're so powerful. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative, because it's also a strength in the source of, like, if you're very creative. But there's a confusion here in the crown chakra. I kind of want to look at this card to see if it gives us any highlight, because it seems to be something that's the opposite of the other energies of the other cards. So this is the chakra wisdom. Let's go to confusion. If you would like to pause and read, you can. I'm only going to look into the inspiration and the personal inquiry. So the inspiration is, through the willingness to be in confusion, we find clarity. There's nothing to solve. Meditation and quiet time will bring clarity. Can I see confusion as a good thing? Can I learn to let go of needing an immediate outcome? Okay, so this pile is good at being in touch with their emotion, to the point where perhaps they over-define the emotion. So your emotional self is saying that sometimes you don't have to define them to just feel them, because sometimes you might be defining them and labeling them the wrong emotions and not properly feeling what you're needing to feel. But that's just from the oracle cards. Let's get your tarot to see what else your emotional self is saying. Pile number 3. I feel like this card wants to come out right here. Come on, you. Oh, a couple of cards. That's why. Okay. Messages from your emotional self. We've got the Hanged Man, Limbo. 7 of Swords with Betrayal. Thoughts. Hope. There we go. Try to create space here. Sorry. Okay. We have 3 of Wands with Freedom. We have the World card with Motivation. 5 of Pentacles with Emotional Withdrawal. Judgment with Forgiveness. I want to stop there. I'm going to save these. I feel like they are significant, but I want to stop there, pause, get the message, and then continue. Because it seems like your emotional self has a lot to say. Not in a negative thing, but they have a lot to say. So there's something about being in between your thoughts and your emotions sometimes. And perhaps maybe that's where that over-labeling or over-analyzing comes from of your emotions. Because your thoughts will betray your influence of feeling the feelings. And kind of keeps you in that stuck or in between limbo feeling of, do I listen to my thoughts? Do I feel the feeling? Do I have to do anything when I'm feeling the feeling? Do I have to analyze what I'm feeling or why I'm feeling? And there's kind of this energy of you don't have to have a why, you just have to have the feeling. And that you have freedom in just the action of feeling when you don't analyze it. When you let it go through its course. When you let the emotion motivate you one way or the other without the thoughts to influence. And with the Five of Pentacles here, it says emotional withdrawal, but I almost feel that as the emotion will not linger or attach or have so much weight physically or have a hindrance in your actions or your values, or it won't hinder your abundance. Because the Five of Pentacles is the pentacles of poverty, so the lack. So this feeling of lack that you have, or the lack that you experience, or this fear of lack that you experience, might be because of not feeling the feeling. Perhaps. There's something here. Because this card is the card of lack. Perhaps you fear you lack something that you don't actually lack, and that fear comes from the overanalyzing of your emotions. For example, I'm seeing and feeling the energy and trying to translate it. So I'm going to try in an example. So for example, you're in a relationship, you have an argument, you have a feeling of unpleasantness, but you don't know what that unpleasantness feeling is necessarily, but you define it as unhappiness. And so it makes you feel like you lack happiness in the relationship, when really maybe the unpleasant feeling is something else related to a relationship that isn't an unhappiness about the overall relationship, but you labeled it as that. And so that lack was due to overanalyzing this negative emotion. And so this message so far from your emotional self is to not overanalyze your feelings, to feel them, because it gives that lack, fear of lack, or that the essence of lacking something to the emotion that you're feeling, or to defining it or attaching the emotion to thoughts that they don't need to be attached to. And forgiving yourself for doing that, and forgiving yourself in the past for doing that, forgiving yourself for sometimes having those moments, forgiving yourself for, or releasing yourself from having to judge yourself for feeling. So it basically, that tongue-tied twister, your emotional self wants you to know that it's okay to feel and not analyze them. And this comes from when we were younger, how you had to have a quick solution to your emotions to quickly get back to feeling normal. And it's not that. Having feelings and feeling them without defining what they are is not a source of concern. It is the feeling that you can't feel the other feelings and you have to quickly get to a state of normalcy, or having to over-rationalize or define what they are, because the moment you define what they are, you attach that feeling to who you are. And so it's forgiving yourself for the past, and forgiving yourself and allowing yourself to experience your humanity, experience the emotions, experience your flaws, because your emotions and feeling them helps you connect to your humanity, helps you connect to what it is that you need in that moment, but not in an over-rationalizing or lacking sense. You're not lacking anything when you have unpleasant emotions, and you don't have to overanalyze your emotions and rationalize them away, because your emotional self is asking you to feel them. And so we'll look at these last three cards for more here. We have the Ace of Cups with emotions, new beginnings with the Fool card, and playfulness with the Page of Cups. So I'm glad I waited. So the Page of Cups is a slow-moving energy. So there's this energy of once you get past overanalyzing your emotions and attaching meanings to them, and you forgive yourself for being human and feeling, that you'll be connected with your emotions in a new way that makes them a source of connecting with spirit or connecting with others. It's this Ace of Cup energy is kind of like being a vessel. So in terms of abilities, it's being able to have your feelings tell you something. So like if you're clairsentient, that would be clear feeling. So if the energy shifted in the room, being able to connect with your emotions, if your emotion all of a sudden shifted, you would be able to understand that it's the energy of the room or someone who came into the room and not your own emotions. So being able to do this, to experience emotion without overanalyzing it, will allow you to have the boundary and know if the emotion is from without you or within you, and will lead to new beginnings for you and new connections, and being able to do that in more scenarios of like, okay, is this negative emotion mine even? Was I attaching negative emotion with experiences that aren't mine? I'm making them mine by defining them. And with this new beginning, you'll experience your emotions with this childlike playfulness of curiosity of, okay, is what I'm feeling mine? Is it someone else's? If it's someone else's, is it influencing me? If it's mine, how do I process through the emotions? So there's the creative creative expression and creative playfulness of slowly understanding emotions, and if it's yours or if it's someone else's, and what they could mean. So that's a lot of words for basically you are in a room and the emotions shift and it's negative, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I experiencing negative emotions? And when you hurry to rationalize it, you might think that a memory came up, or what you were talking about made you feel some sort of way, or so you're suddenly looking for a reason of why you feel the way you feel, when really it could be someone else near you that feels that way, and being able to understand that it's not your feeling that way allows you to be curious about why someone else might be feeling that way, and start being able to be like, oh, I can feel other people's energy, and not every feeling that I feel is attached to something I think or something I lack. And so this is the message from your emotional self, pile number 3. It was pretty heavy, so I think we need a woo-saw. And then we will get into your message from your mental self. I would say that pile 3, if you're not a water sign, then your spiritual message from your emotional self might be saying that you have clear feeling or the ability to discern other people's feelings, and that could be a gift. So now we will look at your messages from your mental self. Your first oracle card is the Sun in Pisces with Vision. Okay. We have the Third Eye with mysticism. Goodness gracious. We have Medusa, number 18 or 9, with jealousy, envy, spitefulness, backstabbers. Oh my goodness. We have the Horse with freedom. That's number 24 or 6. And finally, We have Hathor with celebration. Okay. And this is messages from your mental self, freeing yourself, connecting with your third eye, your intuition. I almost feel like this is the feminine mental self, but we will not leave anything out. Okay, this was the first card, so we're going to do it first. So we have the Temperance card with harmony. Okay, I'm glad I didn't say anything yet. Then we have the Sun card with happiness. We have the Page of Swords with vigilance. The King of Cups with understanding. And the Four of Swords with recuperation. Okay. Okay, your mental self has, like, I guess, masculine and feminine message. So your intuition and your higher consciousness message here. Balance between your intuition, which is where your imagination is, and creativity. And so seeing the vision for your future, seeing what you want to happen, where your bliss is at, and your conscious self. Pages are slow-moving energy. So there's the slow-moving energy of being able to discern different thoughts and what different thoughts mean. So in terms of this, it would be being able to discern what your intuition is telling you and what spirit is telling you in your emotions. Because the King of Cups is a master energy of connecting with emotions or spirit. And the Page of Swords is that more apprentice energy of connection, and swords are thoughts. So being able to connect with your emotions and spirit are linked with your intuition. Thoughts are linked with higher consciousness. So there's this energy of slowly being able to discern in your left brain or your analytical brain the messages that you're able to connect to through your creativity and your intuition. And there's a balance coming here. But it's asking for rest. And celebration of how far you've come. So your mental self is asking for a break. And almost as with this jealousy and envy here, I'm going to ask about that in a moment, but there's something about freedom, freeing yourself from, oh, I see. Okay, so your mental self is asking you to be diligent, to maintain your freedom and your connection with discernment and intuition, and being able to understand your intuitive messages and staying within your bliss and having this balance and your vision. You need rest. Otherwise, emotions like jealousy, envy, this kind of thing pop up. So these negative emotions pop up when you don't give yourself rest, when you don't give yourself discernment, when you don't give yourself understanding for being human and having emotions, and understanding that sometimes listening to your intuition means that you fail, but you still learn because you listened and the failure taught you something. So there's this energy of needing to rest, to celebrate the victories that you have, so celebrate your successes, celebrate your joys, celebrate the things that make you happy, celebrate your visions and what you see for your future, but you need rest. And so I kind of want to ask more about this jealousy and envy, and guidance in terms of that from your mental self. just because it might require more than just, hey, you need rest for some of you. We have the Eight of Swords with restriction, generosity, and with the Charity card, the Knight of Swords with spontaneity, and the Five of Cups with hope. So those negative emotions end up restricting your thought processes, or perhaps, we'll look at this, because I get that feeling of like it restricts your flow of thoughts, or your flow of connecting with your higher thoughts. So it's kind of like blocking them. And it blocks your connection to others and your being able to give to others. It blocks your spontaneity. Okay, so it blocks your spontaneous generosity or your giving to others because this comes up. So jealousy, envy, spitefulness, backstabbers. It could be past thoughts that come up, past versions of yourself. So it doesn't necessarily have to be others. It could be negative thoughts about yourself, too, because this is your mental space. This is your mental self talking to you. So it could be two ways. So I'm going to say it both ways in case it helps one person the other way. So the way I was saying it was that without proper rest, you have thoughts that entrap you in jealousy and envy, which hinders your ability to give to others and receive from others. And it hinders the spontaneity of being in the present moment. And it reduces being able to see the hope and the faith in your everyday. As well as what we've already said. Now, for some of you, this is with yourself. This is restricting the thoughts of how you see yourself and your ability to connect to your intuition, and it hinders your ability to be generous with yourself and to be in the present moment and to be hopeful and to change. So it hinders your transformation and this balance that you're creating between your intuition and your higher consciousness. So the biggest message that I see from your mental self, pile 3, is the needing for rest. Resting your mental processes, resting your thoughts, and giving your thoughts a break. And so we'll clear this up, and then we'll do your final message from your spiritual self. Okay. Tarot is reshuffled. King of the Oracle. Okay, messages from your spiritual self, pile 3. We have Jupiter and Capricorn with control. We have grief in the heart chakra. Helen of Troy, number 26 or 8, with beauty, attraction, aloofness, and target. We have Sea Turtle with stability, number 8. There's 2 8s here again. Dualistic or synchronistic numbers here, pile number 3. And then we have Snake with life force. Okay, so pile number 3. Your spiritual self is talking about a grief. The first thing I automatically get is wanting to control and not letting go of control. And it is hindered because you're wanting stability, but it's a moving turtle, okay? But we will get the tarot and see. Messages from pile 3, spiritual self. Let's see. Okay, we have the Queen of Cups with kindness, the Six of Pentacles with gifts, we have the Four of Wands with happy occasions, the Five of Swords with conflict, Ten of Wands with responsibility, and the Empress with nurture. Okay. Okay. So there's this heavy energy in this message from your spiritual self of supporting and nurturing and giving kindness and love and what's the word I'm looking for? Softness and vulnerability and mothering to yourself, because you have the Queen of Cups and the Empress in this pile from your spiritual self. So there's a very heavy energy of the soft, vulnerable, connecting to spirit and your emotions and being someone who gives nurturing and support and love. And so by holding on to this control of whatever it is that you're trying to control is causing grief in your heart space and not allowing you to give your gifts to others. It's not allowing you to experience happiness in the present actions, in the present moments. It's causing conflicts in your thought processes. So what I would describe that as would be like all of a sudden conflicting thoughts come up that are contrary to the happy present moments that you're having. And you have this, you feel this heavy responsibility to certain actions when your spirit is calling you more to let go of some of this, to let go of some of this responsibility and instead be vulnerable and soft and open to receiving. And what you'll be receiving needs your love, support, and nurturing. So there's this heavy energy of this message right off the bat of letting go of control. And this wanting control is making you feel like you have more actions that you are required of you than are necessary. But I want to ask about what it is that you're needing to let go of, because it'll be different for everyone and I think it will be helpful. What is it, pile number 3 from spiritual self, that they need to let go of besides control? But that might come through anyhow. We have gratitude with the 9 of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles with patience, the 9 of Cups with good fortune, 10 of Pentacles, and the 4 of Cups. I'm sorry, we're potty training my toddler, so if you hear that in the background, I apologize. So your spiritual self is asking you to let go of reasons to not be grateful. That's the weird way to say that. So it's asking you to let go of thinking you don't have what you need in your life. It's asking you to start seeing the blessings you hold in your hands, because 9s are ends of energies. 10s are the like the utmost of that energy, but it's also a new beginning of that energy. So it's saying being grateful for what you have and seeing what you have and seeing the beauty in this present moment, holding on to it quickly. Knights are fast moving energy. holding on to what you have and letting go and being patient to receive your abundance. So you holding on and cherishing the abundance you have and being soft and vulnerable and receiving the abundance. Holding on to the happy emotions that you have and being aware of the emotions and the blessings that are coming. So it's almost like the opposite of actively pursuing your manifestations in the spiritual sense is what your spiritual self is saying. In the spiritual sense, your spiritual self is saying, pile number 3, to let go of control, release expectations, and just receive. Cherish what you have in the moment while you're waiting on it to come, and to enjoy the present blessings, the present feelings, all as it happens. And this is what I see from your parts of self, pile number 3. Let me know what you think in the comments. This was a different type of video than I've done before. I'm sure I've made mistakes, but practice makes perfect. Give me constructive criticism or positive comments. Let me know, and thank you. Have a good day.